and northwest Arkansas. In the River Valley, we still have a lot of questions that we're going through. We'll work through that together here in just a couple of moments, but just one by one. Tell you what, this week is going to keep us busy. Everyone across Arkansas and Oklahoma, we got to keep our eyes on the skies this week because the jet stream is parked right over us. We've got several systems coming on through. Let's zoom in a little bit closer for this severe threat. It includes all of northwest Arkansas and the River Valley, that level 2 impacting Fort Smith right north to Fayetteville. So we'll have some of these downpours coming in just after midnight tonight. Right now we've got a lot of clouds. Don't expect any storms for that afternoon, evening commute. We've got practice tonight. Maybe you got dinner with the family. You're going to be okay. There could be a stray sprinkle, but not a lot impacting your weather. It's breezy though. We've got that southerly wind. You see those clouds coming in from the west right now, but those storms will probably cross the state line and into Fort Smith and Fayetteville and Bentonville here coming up just after midnight. Lots of clouds reporting in Fort Smith too, where temperatures are pretty warm at the moment. We've got those southerly winds coming on in. Here's the storm threat right now. You don't really see this on the map, but we've got a dry line. What that means is we've got temperatures and humidity values up higher across eastern Oklahoma, western Arkansas, but really dry air, bone dry air in western Texas and western Oklahoma. When you've got a push of really dry air, kind of like cold air, you can spark severe weather. So later this afternoon and evening, we're likely to see more thunderstorms pop up from Dallas north to Oklahoma City, and then they'll march towards the state line with Arkansas and Oklahoma closer to midnight. We're watching heavy downpours in the deep south. We don't have to worry about those. Those are heading on out. But then eventually, on the backside of this storm system, we've got the cold air coming into Colorado right now. That cold air is going to come in after the storms, and it's going to stick around the rest of the week, just in time for another storm system to use that cold air to produce possibly freezing rain across western Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma. But right now we've got the storm threat first. Clouds continue to increase. We've got a couple light little showers across Arkansas, mainly towards Little Rock and Conway and Texarkana. We could get a stray sprinkle this afternoon and evening too, so be on the lookout for that. But really towards Oklahoma City and westbound Fort Sill, they're expecting more thunderstorms to blow up first, and then we'll get them. So we'll be able to watch the storms coming in. That's always better, right? It's always hard when they blow up right over your neighborhood. We're going to see them in that western sky as they march in later tonight. A couple of showers have been reporting across LaFleur County and Sequoyah County. Some of those have faded away. We actually have a flood watch in effect for Carroll County, Madison County, Washington County, Crawford County, Sebastian County, Franklin County, and Johnson County. Some of these heavy downpours could try to pick up 1 or 2 inches of rain really quickly, maybe even up to 3. That's what's cutting down our storm chances. They actually would be a little bit higher. Know how we're in a level 2. They could be towards 3 or 4 with this severe weather setup. However, there's a lot of water. Sometimes these things get waterlogged, and that's a good thing for us. Yes, you get a lot of heavy rain, but it reduces the tornado and hail threat. So that's one good thing that's coming for us. But we got a flood watch in effect, and temperatures are warm. Now, we may not get all that much warmer today because the clouds have really thickened up. We're sitting right at 70 in Fort Smith. You head south and west, 271 towards Poto, we're 68. A little bit cooler right now in Johnson County. In northwest Arkansas, we're sitting in those mid-60s and some low 70s right now at the moment. Waldron, 68. Same story in Sequoyah County and Sallisaw. Here's what you can expect over the next several hours. Clouds to continue. We're going to hover in those 60s and low 70s in northwest. But then after 10 o'clock, we'll start to watch some of that heavy rain come in. But I really think that severe potential comes in right around midnight tonight. And that's when we have those heaviest storm chances. Those continue to tomorrow morning. As you're waking up tomorrow morning, meteorologist Tyler Moore is going to be walking you through some of the leftovers that we'll have. But there could still be some good downpours for us. But overall, they'll be kicking on out. This is mainly an overnight event. As soon as the skies get dark tonight, that's when we have to keep our eyes on watch closest as those storms roll on in. In the River Valley, clouds for this afternoon, hovering in those 60s and some low 70s for the next few hours. But then by 10 o'clock, those storms will be approaching. By midnight, that's when they're likely to be hitting Fort Smith, Van Buren, and eventually east towards Clarksville. Here's a closer look at those severe storm threats. We've got that yellow coloring indicating a level 2 area-wide, all the way from Oklahoma City, east to Little Rock, and of course, including us here at home. Here's a look at Futurecast. What can you expect the next couple of hours? This is 6 to 9 o'clock. Clouds likely, maybe a stray shower, but then those thunderstorms will be off towards Oklahoma. They'll already be forming and charging kind of towards us, but then by 10, 11 o'clock, that's when they'll start to reach the state line. I think by midnight, most of us will be getting some of these heavy downpours. Every once in a while, we'll have to keep an eye out on some of the southern edges of some of these storms. They could have a little bit of rotation, some low to medium hail and wind threats too as they push on through, but I really think there's going to be a lot of good downpours with these. So if you don't get the wind, you're going to get the rain. This is 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. Hopefully we're asleep. You may be woken up by a few rumbles of thunder. Heavy rain continues even to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. There's going to be a lot of rounds of this stuff. The severe potential will really be in that first wave right around midnight. And then some of the final thunderstorms, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, they should mainly be heavy rain downpours. There could be a couple wind threats and hail threats, but the tornado risk will go down throughout the rest of the morning. By the time you're waking up 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, still a couple downpours out there, but slowly they'll be fading off and pushing on out. And we'll try to work on these clouds, maybe breaking them up just a little bit, but otherwise temperatures will start to drop. That's the other thing. As soon as this storm system passes through with a few thunderstorms, we'll get cooler for your Tuesday, and that cold air should last until we get the chance for a few winter storms rolling on through. What's next after tonight? Temperatures are going to remain cooler, and then we've got 2 waves of moisture coming in, and it all depends on temperatures right now. So far, it looks like we've got a good threat for freezing rain Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday night, especially northwest Arkansas, and for portions of the River Valley, from Fort Smith westbound towards eastern Oklahoma, Sallisaw, Poteau, Pecola, and then even really picking up once you head closer to Lake Tenkiller. But then another wave of moisture will come in by Thursday. That one also producing even more ice. So we may get a break in between these two kind of storm systems. It's going to feel kind of like one with a little break, but by Thursday, more freezing rain will start to move in. So here's the latest on the greatest impacts that you're likely to get. In northwest Arkansas, this is really going to probably be an icing threat for us, and that includes eastern Oklahoma too. Notice how there's not a lot of snow with this storm. It's going to be in Missouri, most of it, but this is really an ice storm, I think, from Oklahoma right into Arkansas. This black line indicates the difference between where you get a lot of ice threats back over to just a really cold rain. Some of us in the River Valley may not get all that much ice. The problem is if you're trying to get more of an icing threat with this storm, from an atmospheric standpoint, some of that cold air is not going to be able to make its way efficiently through the mountains. So you go from the Ozark Plateau, southwest Missouri, and northwest Arkansas for the metros, we'll be able to get cold enough, but then that cold air will be blocked by the Boston Mountains in Crawford County and Franklin County. So some of us, especially towards Paris and Boonville, we may not get as much ice. Of course, that may change. If it starts to look like that cold air is able to run right through the mountains, then the ice threat will continue to drop towards the south. But for now, eastern Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, Fort Smith, we're right on the edge. We could go either way with this because we've got mountains towards the north, but then you don't go much farther west and you've got a clear shot of the plains in eastern Oklahoma. Some of that cold air will be able to hit the Arkansas River close to Dora, Arcoma. We'll have to keep our eye out. So Fort Smith, this one's kind of questionable. Northwest Arkansas, not as many questions. It's looking like it's going to be cold enough for the ice to form. Let's take a look at Futurecast. This is tomorrow, actually. Rain wraps up for us. We push that on out. But as the time we get towards Wednesday, notice by Wednesday afternoon, we get a push of moisture, and temperatures are going to be cold enough for more of that icing threat, I think, across northwest. Notice how there's kind of that bubble of green showing you the warmer temperatures in the River Valley as a lot of that cold air gets hung up in the mountains. And then we start to kind of reduce things a little bit with another wave coming in for Thursday. This is all day Thursday long. Getting more ice in northwest. In the River Valley, it's going to be close. We'll continue to monitor the difference between who gets ice and who gets rain. And coming up later this evening on 5 News, on Channel 5, we'll have more of a breakdown of maybe how much ice we could get. We're trying to fine-tune that forecast. Ice is not a fun forecast to make. Also, there are more nuances with ice. You can probably go on social media and you see these random accounts and say, hey, you're getting all this type of ice, but sometimes it depends on the intensity of that rain coming down. If rain's coming down too hard, too much water, it's harder for the atmosphere to freeze it, even if temperatures are below freezing. So there's a lot of nuances with freezing rain. It is a very difficult forecast, but it looks like right now we've got that icing threat for northwest. Wednesday into Thursday. We've got several weather alerts. You just pick a day, you probably can get a weather alert that day. Tonight, we've got that weather alert, mainly storms after 10, 11 o'clock, close to midnight tonight. And then more weather alerts, not for storms, but for wintry weather. We've got a winter storm watch pretty much area-wide for northwest Arkansas and for most of the River Valley with that threat for a wintry mix and that ice and sleet coming on in. That'll continue into Thursday too. And then we try to wrap up things as we head into the weekend. We're going to try to get a little bit warmer, but it may take us a couple days in order to do that. So here's a look at the River Valley. We've also got our weather alerts coming on in. It's going to be a little bit trickier though with this storm system, especially Wednesday, Thursday, where temperatures are just a touch warmer. Some of us right next to the foothills of the Boston Mountains. So you go from Clarksville north to the Strawberry Bluffs, or you're in Ozark and you headed north towards Batson. You headed on the Pig Trail north into parts of Franklin County, or you're on I-49. You go from Alma and you really head towards Mountainburg and Winslow, and then maybe even Uniontown, Cedarville, and northern portions of Crawford County. We may get a little bit more ice, but south of I-40, it's going to be a little bit tougher. Our eastern Oklahoma counties, the icing threat is pretty high too, because we don't have as much terrain blocking that north wind to really cool us down. But we got storm threats tonight, area-wide, northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. They may be a little bit stronger, especially towards Fort Smith. We'll have to watch tonight. We'll try to wrap up things Tuesday with maybe a few rumbles of thunder, and then we clear out the rain right in time for our next storm system coming in Wednesday, Thursday. We've got the icing threats, but mainly north of I-40. Once again, we'll continue to fine-tune that forecast. Remember, there's going to be several changes to an ice forecast. That's just how the game rolls. But icing threats are right now in play for us, both in northwest Arkansas and for parts of the River Valley. We'll keep you tuned. Make sure you tune into 5 News tonight. We've got 4, 5, and 6, and 10, where we have the latest information. We've got a couple more details coming on in and some maps that we're working on. So you'll have the latest first at 4. Meteorologist Michelle Trotter will walk you through what you can expect for this week. I tell you what, this week's looking busy. Make sure you keep it local, keep it here. We'll keep you advised.